Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Arnold Connell. Arnold Connell is a widely renowned management and development guru. After working at Google for over a decade and serving as senior engineering manager at YouTube TV, Connell was ready to begin his own venture. Founder and CEO of Hangglide, Connell took his engineering and business background to create a platform that allows content creators to monetize and scale their content within their communities. For his latest project, Connell has become co-founder of Hotake, a social media platform allowing sports fans everywhere to connect through an entirely new digital experience. With his extensive background in the digital space as well as his love for sports, Connell is ready to take the digital sports industry to new heights.
Well, good afternoon, Arnold. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Brian. Really happy to be here with you today.
It's really exciting. You know, Arnold, I talk to guests every single day across the globe. So exciting. But entrepreneurs, even though we're focused on tech, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. And, your creation here, working with others, you've got a co-founder, obviously, but working with NFL famer, Michael Irvin, one of my favorites, growing up with football. And that's just totally awesome. So we're going to jump right in here so you can tell us a little bit more about your story. So, Arnold, you've got quite the career in tech as an engineer, kind of my background here. You were a director, senior executive, and now the co-founder and chief product officer of Hotake. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Absolutely. So, I think one of there's a number of things in there, but if I had to kind of tease out one key thing, I'd probably say one thing that's worked really well for me is, I've always tried to approach any job that I have with an entrepreneurial mindset, versus just the traditional sort of employee mindset, right? And so what I mean by that is, after I complete any work task that I have assigned to me, I always look around and see, like, is there something else I could proactively, grab onto or just take to add extra value in some way, or maybe create some new process that would save time or money, or maybe a new spreadsheet to automate away some manual process, right? And so in doing that, it really helped me to build good rapport with not only my team, but also lots of other cross-functional teams across, we're taking Google as an example, across Google, right? And in doing that, I was not only able to stand out quite a bit at Google, just from helping so many people and getting involved in so many different things, but it also, led to me, for instance, getting promoted quite frequently, right? And it also enabled me to take part in a lot of really awesome things over the years at Google, like, the YouTube acquisition back in the day when that happened, the original G Suite for Work rollout, being able to travel around the world to open up new Google offices and just different experiences like that. And when I think back on even like I was at Google for around 14 years, and much of that time, a lot of the work that I was actually doing was work that I was actually going out and finding, just kind of always thinking of, in that mindset of what can I do to help the organization to be better, right? And even, that's how I was able to get involved with one of my largest projects at Google, which was YouTube TV. And the way that even came about was, a couple of years prior to that, I had helped a team out in the UK to install a very basic TV capture system in Chicago, right? They were kind of struggling to figure out how to do this, and they were asking all sorts of random questions like, hey, look, let me help you guys. I've got a networking background. I can give you a hand here. And just that small interaction led to me helping them, with that system in Chicago. And they liked it so much. They're like, hey, can you come to the UK and help us to build out the one we've got here, and then the one in Paris, and then the one in Poland? And so ultimately, they asked me to join the team, right? Because they were like, hey, you're doing a great job with this stuff. We love you. We need this, we need some support around this stuff. Write a job description and please join us. And so I went from that to, it's randomly in a cafe in the Google California office at one point. And guy sat next to me and we just got to talking, told him what I did. He told me what he did. And it turns out, he had just joined, the person I was talking to had just joined YouTube as a new engineering manager and was thinking about a new TV service within YouTube, right? And with my background of understanding TV acquisition, it was just kind of this natural fit. And it just kind of kicked off again, this thing of, I'll help you to build your first infrastructure. And, that led to always these sort of 20% projects, right? That led to me building the first deployment in Chicago, and then ultimately scaling it to a 100-person team, $100 million budget, and ultimately building what is one of the U.S.'s largest TV infrastructures currently. So that's kind of yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the story. That's awesome. And you've obviously made some great contributions, not only to Google, YouTube, but the rest of the world. And that's awesome. So, Arnold, we're going to switch gears here. Tell us a little bit about your new sports social platform where you partnered with Hall of Famer Michael Irvin, changing the game of social forever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is really exciting for us. So, the platform that I'm building is a sports focused social platform. It's called Hotake. And, we're aiming to become the first major social platform for sports fans everywhere. And what we're really, really we want to build a common, a place for common everyday fans to come and share their own opinions about, maybe it's a live game or it's a bad call in a game or just those good old fashioned debates of who's the greatest of all time and so on, right? And so our thesis is that everyone from the casual sports fan all the way over to the most diehard sports fanatics, everybody's got an opinion, and they not only want to share it, they also want to make sure that it'll be discovered and heard by other equally passionate fans also, right? And so what we want to do is finally give a home to all those fans, for that engagement. And, some of the things we're building on the Hot Take platform, you'll be able to do, like, start conversations, build communities, around with other passionate fans, debate with other people, and in both live video and audio rooms, host your own live shows, and consume and just kind of watch short form video clips or even longer form content. And in addition to that, I'll just kind of point out it's really important to us as well that anybody who's creating really awesome, engaging content, that's sports related on our platform and building out those communities and live shows, we want to make sure that they get compensated fairly for that work too. It's really important to us. And so we're building a variety of different monetization features to help, basically help you earn on the platform when you're contributing. And yeah, like you mentioned, in addition to all of that, I've got a really awesome team with me as well. So, you mentioned a moment ago, Hall of Famer, 3-time Super Bowl champ Michael Irvin has partnered up with us, and I can't tell you, we're so incredibly excited about working with him. And then, of course, my CEO and co-founder Josh Carney, who's a serial entrepreneur himself, ex-sports fantasy radio analyst on ESPN, SiriusXM, CW, and I could go on, like tons of other networks too. So, really, we're just a team of really passionate sports fans, working to build, a clutter-free and sports-focused social platform. Really something that the three of us wished, existed for a long time. And so now we're just taking the reins and we're doing it ourselves. And we know there's a ton of other sports fans out there that are going to be pretty excited about this too.
That's so awesome. And there is a lot of, excitement around sports, obviously. But to do something for that particular niche is pretty cool. And obviously, I think it's going to be a great hit. So I appreciate the share. And Arnold, we're a tech platform. We talk about tech a lot, emerging technologies, right? You're obviously leveraging some new and emerging technologies in your tech stack. Is there anything you might be able to share with us today?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, there's a ton of really cool things that we're looking to do. But I think I'll share one of the more foundational things that I think is really cool. So we use a tech, Google Firebase, right, for backend technology. And it's one that I highly recommend, whether you're building a large system or even, if you're just kind of somebody who's tinkering around looking to build an app and just kind of get something launched, right? So, I mean, it really, what it is if you're building an app or a website and, you're going to allow users to do things like, log in, maybe create content, upload content, pictures, things like that, download that content, whether it's an app or website, you need a back end to power all of that, right? So things like a database, for your metadata, or maybe a storage server for that media that you're going to have, images and videos, user authentication, how are you going to log in those people and set passwords and user accounts, push notifications, analytics. So, Firebase is a really cool kind of all-in-one platform that sits on top of the Google Cloud platform. And it really just kind of gives you this user-friendly console that helps you to navigate all of those individual services. It kind of rolls them up into one. And just at the end of the day, what it translates to for you, whether you're the hardcore developer building out a major platform, or whether, again, you're just, somebody who's kind of playing around with trying to release your first app or just trying to get something that people can log into. This gives you a really simple way to get going, and helps you to scale into the more complex things. And I think the other reason I'm kind of really sort of pro Firebase is they also give you a pretty free, generous tier to kind of help you get your idea off the ground. So this kind of helps remove some of those barriers and friction. And of course, Brian, too, I'm probably a little biased, given all my time at Google as well with some of the Google tools. But I think this is a really great one that folks should check out if they've got an idea they're trying to build out.
That's awesome. And it is a great platform. I've had the opportunity to explore that a little bit, but we have a lot of technologists here in our audience that kind of geek out over this stuff. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then Arnold, last question of the day here. Can you share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in either tech or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, of course. Definitely a lot of different experiences here. But one thing I would probably call out that kind of pops right into mind is this concept of, we sometimes feel like we have to know something or be an expert at something before we really get started with it, right? And I've certainly struggled with that in the past. But one of the things I've learned over the years is that you don't need to know how you're going to get to the finish line. You really just need to start moving in the direction that you think makes sense to get there, right? And what I've actually found is it's actually almost helpful in many cases to not be an expert, because it means you're going to likely come up with more innovative solutions to help you solve the problem that you're trying to solve, because you're not sort of bound by that this is how it's supposed to be done mindset that most people that have done this thing for years or have far more experience than you will be sort of bound by. And so you'll be able to come up with those fresh new ideas. And then when you take those steps, you find you sort of naturally start to get into the direction of new knowledge and tools, and you meet the right people that kind of help to, pull and propel you, forward even more. But the trick is you can't be ready for all of that expanded knowledge and information if you don't actually take those first steps, right? And it's kind of even just a quick sort of touch point. Again, it brings me back to, when I was building out the infrastructure for YouTube TV, we were bringing in more than 5,000 live streams across the country. I ended up inventing, and I've got patents for new hardware and just various technical solutions, not because I was an expert, but because my ignorance sort of led me to questioning lots of these sort of old school broadcast, TV infrastructure and technology that was out there, and kind of going like, there's got to be a more efficient way to do this. Or what if we just build this and build that? And, ultimately that kind of helped me to do some brand new things just with that sort of just, again, taking that first step and not knowing how I was going to do what I did. Because, I was not an expert in broadcast TV. So I think that just to kind of sum it up, it's really just throw the whole, I got to be an expert or I got to wait 6 months to learn this thing, throw it out the window and literally just get started with wherever you can, whatever sort of starting point you feel comfortable with, and the rest will fall into place.
Thank you, Arnold. I appreciate the gems, the share with that. Obviously, you don't know what you don't know when you get started. And I like that the fact that, you can't be an expert at everything. And I appreciate you sharing some of your experience with us. So Arnold, absolutely. You're absolutely welcome. It was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thanks so much, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Bye for now.